Winston Smith, Big Brother is watching you. That's the slogan etched into every wall, poster, and mind in George Orwell's 1984. And yet, in a world where even the wrong thoughts are crimes, Winston Smith dares to dream of rebellion. A small, ordinary man trying to resist a crushing, all-powerful machine. Representing the party, Big Brother is the symbol of absolute control, representing a regime that rewrites history, controls reality, and crushes the human spirit. And yet, Winston fights back. He writes, "Down with Big Brother," in a secret diary. He falls in love with Julia, and in a world where love is outlawed, their relationship is an act of defiance. But Winston wants more, so he joins the resistance. He dares to believe that the party can fall. But there is no resistance, and the party can't fall. He's betrayed by O'Brien, a loyal party agent, and Winston is captured, tortured, and broken. In the Ministry of Love, he betrays Julia, begging them to hurt her instead of him, renouncing the very love that defined his rebellion. And when they're done with him, he's not executed. But they might as well have. His spirit is extinguished and his mind purged of dissent. And in the end, he sits alone, staring at a poster of Big Brother with tears in his eyes. He loves Big Brother now. Homelander. Homelander is a piece of shit. He's the main antagonist of The Boys, a narcissistic, homicidal, all-powerful man-child with laser eyes, mommy issues, and a god complex. But some monsters are made, and Homelander was literally made in a lab. He's the result of a VOD experiment, Soldier Boy's genetic material combined with a homeless surrogate, who gave birth to Homelander. And when I say birth, I mean the lasering your way out of the womb, gruesomely killing your mother and all the doctors present, kind. And it only got worse from there. Homelander was initially a sweet child who loved his caretakers, but they were tasked with building a weapon. So, they did. As with any other lab rat, they tested his abilities. They subjected him to excruciating physical and mental torture. He was forced into furnaces to test the endurance of his skin, and he was boiled alive. Homelander is pretty durable, but he is not immune to pain. And despite his strength, he stayed through it all, because Vought socially engineered him to crave love. They programmed him with an insatiable need for approval, believing that would make him obedient. Raised in total isolation, without love, touch, or family, Homelander grew into a god with a broken mind. He's still that scared little boy. Only now, he has unlimited power. His entire existence is a desperate, pathetic plea for the love he was denied as a child, manifesting in some, disturbing ways. Homelander could have been a Superman, but he was never given the chance. The Groke. The Groke is hands down one of the most terrifying figures from my childhood. Created by Tove Jansson for the Mumins stories, the Groke terrified kids all around the world. She is a dark, ghostly figure who terrorizes the Mumin family. She freezes the ground she walks on, kills fires by sitting near them, and makes your skin crawl with her eerie shrieks and growls. But she doesn't want to hurt anyone. She just wants to be loved. The Groke seeks warmth and friendship, but only ever brings cold. She tries to make friends sitting by the campfire, but her very presence terrifies people. And the cold she brings is dangerous. Then, the Groke tries to get warm by sitting on the fire, but it always goes out. So she is left to wander alone, eventually retreating to a frozen cavern on the lonely mountains, making the Groke the very embodiment of loneliness and isolation. At one point, she returns again and again, just to see the light of a lantern. And in the end, Mumin does the unthinkable. He shows her kindness. He realizes that all she wants is company, and for the first time, the ground beneath her doesn't freeze. Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet is one of Shakespeare's most famous stories, and one of fiction's greatest tragedies. Romeo and Juliet are two teenagers from rival families, the Montagues and the Capulets. Their parents are locked in a bitter feud, but when Romeo and Juliet meet, everything else fades. Within days, they're secretly married. Friar Lawrence, who weds them, hoped that their union might bring peace. It doesn't. Juliet's cousin Tybalt challenges Romeo to a duel. But Romeo, now family by marriage, refuses. His friend Mercutio fights in his place and dies, cursing both houses. Romeo, grief-stricken, kills Tybalt in revenge. For this, the Prince of Verona banishes him, so he leaves. Desperate to escape an arranged marriage to Count Paris, Juliet fakes her death with a potion. The friar sends word to Romeo of the plan, but the letter never arrives. A plague blocks the messenger. Romeo hears only that Juliet is dead and returns to Verona in sorrow. He visits her tomb, kills her betrothed, drinks poison, and dies beside her. Juliet awakens moments later, and when she sees his body, she takes his dagger and joins him. The story ends with the Montagues and Capulets, shattered by grief, finally laying down their arms. Orpheus. Nobody does tragedy like Shakespeare. Well, except for the Greeks. According to Greek mythology, Orpheus was the greatest musician who ever lived. His songs could charm animals, stop rivers, and soften the hearts of gods. But not even that could save the woman he loved. On their wedding day, Eurydice stepped on a snake and died. So Orpheus did what no mortal had ever done. He played music to pacify Cerberus, and then he marched into the underworld to get her back. He played his grief before Hades and Persephone, and even the Furies were moved to tears. Hades made him an offer. Eurydice could return, but only if Orpheus led her out to the upper world without looking back. So he journeyed upwards, but with the exit just steps away, doubt crept in. He couldn't hear her. He couldn't feel her. Was she really there, or had Hades deceived him? So he turned and saw a glimpse of his wife just before she vanished, forever. In some accounts, Orpheus grieved the loss of his wife to such an extent that he refused to entertain the Maenads at a party. The frenzied women then tore him to pieces. The gods threw his lyre into the sky, ensuring that his music lives on. Alex Jones. In Prisoners, 2 girls go missing, and Alex Jones is blamed. Keller Dover, a desperate father, takes justice into his own hands. He kidnaps Alex and tortures him, smashing his face, dousing him with freezing water, and locking him in a dark room. But Alex says nothing, because Alex Jones is not the villain of this story. He is its most tragic victim. Kidnapped as a child, Alex has been kept captive in the open for over a decade. He is drugged, brainwashed, and isolated. His IQ is reduced to that of a child, and he can barely speak. His captors, now posing as his aunt and uncle, aren't just abusers. They're waging a twisted war on God to avenge the death of their son. And Alex was their first prisoner. They gave him a new name, a false life, and years of quiet, relentless torture. When the girls go missing, it isn't Alex who took them. It's the same woman who destroyed him. Alex Jones is the embodiment of innocence destroyed, not just by the monsters who stole him, but also by the people who could have saved him. Sarah Lynn. Sarah Lynn from Bojack Horseman is a fictitious representation of every fallen child star. Some are redeemed and some never recover. Forced into fame at just 3 years old, she became a household name as Sabrina on Horsin' Around. Her mother pushed her into acting, and her stepfather likely abused her. The people around her saw a brand, not a person, but she was smart, funny, and desperately lonely. She wanted to be an architect, but no one cared about what Sarah Lynn wanted. And Bojack, the man she looked up to as a father figure, unintentionally gave her her first drink and her first high, and eventually, her last. On a days-long bender, they finally went to the planetarium. She laid her head on his shoulder and whispered her last words. "I want to be an architect." Then she overdosed. Bojack, afraid of the fallout, waited 17 minutes to call for help. She might have lived. Sarah Lynn died as she lived, let down by the people who were supposed to care for her. And the one person she trusted most let her die alone. Lennie Small. Lennie is a gigantic simpleton with the mind of a child. He doesn't want much, just to tend rabbits on a little piece of land, with his best friend, George. In John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men, the two cling to a dream, a future where they're safe, independent, and free. But Lennie loves soft things too much. Mice, puppies, anything small and delicate. His touch is meant to comfort, but he doesn't understand his own strength. And when he tries to show love, things die. On the day their dream is finally within reach, George lets his guard down. Lennie is left alone and meets the boss's wife. She's lonely and lets him stroke her hair, but when he pulls too hard, she panics. And the terrified Lennie holds tighter. When he lets go, she's dead. Lennie runs and a lynch mob forms, but George finds Lennie first, exactly where he told him to go if things ever went wrong. Lennie is happy to see his friend, unaware of what's coming. George doesn't tell him the truth. Instead, he paints the dream for Lennie one last time. The little farm with the rabbits. A safe, peaceful life. Lennie listens, smiling, completely at ease. Then, George lifts the gun and he pulls the trigger. It's an act of mercy, sparing Lennie from the wrath of the mob. But it kills more than just Lennie. It kills the dream, and George walks away alone, carrying a grief he will never escape. That's it for now. Which character from fiction do you think is the most tragic? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and cheers.